go ahead and get started as people continue to trickle on in. I wanted to thank my friend Tom. We've known each other for a while.
Probably 4 or 5 years at least.
Yeah. So Tom's in Maui, obviously, as I'm sure you guys have kind of caught on to that. He's in the luxury, second home, vacation home market. And so I thought it'd be really cool to be able to have him on here. I know some of you guys don't deal in that space, but I think it'd be, I'm curious to see what he's going to address with us today. I think there's always something to be learned when you're dealing with markets that are not have to transactions, right? So in this market that we're in today, like that is something that is more difficult. And so I'm curious to see how things have been, how the market's there, and then what you can teach us. So Tom, go ahead and take it away.
So first of all, can I get the power to share my screen? And Nazar, I've got a presentation that really is going to be more, I work in a luxury resort market, but this is going to speak to all of your agents because it really is about, or all the agents that are on here, it's really all about finding the referrals in your database that people miss. And so it works for just about everybody that we've got on this space. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen right now.
Shouldn't have any issues.
Okay, there we go. Let me just fix my window for 1 second. All right. So what we were just sharing with Nazar is that who has a database here that has more than like 5 people in it? Hopefully everybody in the room. And what I wanted to just share with you guys is there are referrals hiding in your database, and it's amazing how many people miss the opportunity. And what I say with people is resort agents are stealing your clients and they feel really bad. Please help them stop. And I laugh about this because it happens every single day to every one of the agents in the room and every agent in the country, that their clients are out there and their clients are out there and they're buying second homes. And so a story that I want to share with you guys is about 5, maybe 6 years ago, I was going through my numbers like I do at the end of every year, and something dawned on me. I had about $35 million in sales, about 32 million of it was in resort second home kinds of properties, dealing with resort second home buyers, which meant that they already owned a home somewhere else. And when I started looking at it, what I realized was I only had 1 inbound referral out of about 29 clients. And it sort of made me think, wow, what a missed opportunity. So if I had, let's say I had 30 sales that were from second home buyers and sellers, one of them was an inbound referral. That meant that 29 of the other clients owned a home somewhere else, most likely had a realtor that they bought it from, and probably had friends that were realtors in that other market. But yet they came to me through Zillow, through walking into an open house, through the internet. They came to me direct without a referral. And I thought, wow, what a missed opportunity for so many agents that they're not thinking about it. And so I call it the $15,000 question. Are you thinking of buying or selling a resort or second home? And that's a question that I think should be part of your scripts, part of your vocabulary all the time when you're talking to people. And because it's just such an easy question to ask. Are you thinking, hey, you think about buying or selling a second home? Do you have a second home? And if they already own one, fine. Maybe they need to sell it. Maybe they didn't have a good experience with their agent. We know that agents fall away, especially in resort markets. You just go through the grind of, doing the next deal and doing the next deal, and your clients aren't in your neighborhood. You don't see them at the grocery store, so you lose touch with them a lot, unless you're, as a resort agent, really good at it. So one of the things I promise you on this call, the 20 or 30 people that are on here, that this has happened to you. You're with your clients, you're somewhere, you're talking to somebody, and you see your client, and you look at them and they're all excited, and they come up to you and say, hey, Robert, guess what? And Robert says, what's so exciting? I just bought a house in Vail. And Robert looks at him and thinks inside to himself, oh, crap. I missed. And then Robert looks at him and goes, "Oh, I'm so happy for you. That's so great." And on goes life. And that happens on a more common basis than you can imagine. So I know that it's happened to Robert. Has it happened to you?
Oh yeah, all the
So
time. And I'm like, I wish. I mean, I have a story about it happening yesterday. So
so timeliness here. So therein lies the rub for traditional. I call you guys, if you work in a non-resort area, I call you traditional market agents. So that's the challenge. And the agent thinks to themselves, well, why didn't you call me? Robert said, why didn't you call me and ask me to help you? It's because it's not their job. It's not their job to call you and ask you to help them find an agent somewhere else. It's your job. It's your responsibility to put it in their head that if they're thinking about it, they should call you. And because you have a network of agents across the country, around the world for that matter, in all the resort markets, every place that exists, you have a network that you're connected with in one way or another. Now, some of the agents in this group are with Tom Ferry, but not all of them, correct?
Right.
Are they all affiliated with National Association of Realtors?
Yeah, I'm sure.
So that means they have a relationship with every realtor in the United States that is in NAR, except for Redfin anymore, but that's okay. So my point being is there's that opportunity there, and we just need to put it in our brains to start asking that question. And truly, it's a simple conversation, like I said, to start generating more referrals, to create that opening. And if somebody says, "Hey, yeah, I already own a property," no problem. Then it becomes a listing opportunity for a referral. Because remember, the agents in a lot of the resort markets come and go. They don't follow up like every other market in the world. And so there becomes this window of opportunity. Hey, who is your agent? How did you find them? How did you connect with them? Were they any good? Did you enjoy this journey with them? Oh, yeah, I love them. Okay, you're probably not going to take that opportunity for a referral away. But you can at least say, well, if you're thinking about buying another one, if you're thinking about buying more or somewhere else, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that's an opportunity. So it's just a simple conversation. And I want, the $15,000 question, I put it in there because let's do the math. Anymore in Maui, it's impossible to find a $500,000 property almost. But let's say you've got you do one referral, it's a $500,000 deal, 3% commission, 25% referral, that's $3,750. If you imagine doing 4 of those, that's or $2 million, that's that $15,000. Or if you get one $2 million referral, which anymore in our world is not uncommon, there's $15,000 in GCI. So you might be asking yourself, well, how do I get 4 referrals? Well, once you know the stats, it'll be mind-blowing how easy it is because of the numbers that are there. So when I started doing this research years ago, I went and I dug in and I found a NAR investment vacation home survey. Now they quit doing this, but this was from a few years back. And it says that 10% of all homeowners with a median household income of $90,000 or more are very likely to buy a resort, second home, or investment property in the next 2 years. So Robert, your database is in your audience. What do you think their household income is? Is it going to exceed 90,000 in most of the markets?
I think so.
So let's assume that there's half of the people in your databases are exceeding $90,000, which I don't think is unreasonable. And what would an average agent in your crew have in your database? How many people? Robert, let's just use you because it'll be massive. But how many people are in your database?
Total database is probably around 5,000, maybe 5,500.
Okay.
And when we talk about like A+ clients, I would say probably around 300 for me, and probably about 20 to 30 for the agents on my team on average.
So again, your database, because it's a tool that you can work with. Let's say that it's 5,000. We cut that in half because of 90%. We had 2,500. We take 10% of that, and that's 250 potential clients in the next 24 months that are going to be buying or selling second homes. So the number is huge, but it's a conversation nobody ever has because you don't think about it, right? You don't think to ask your clients this question. You don't think, have you bought investment properties? Have you bought Airbnb properties? Because it's outside of your space. And that's the whole point of this conversation, is to open your mind to having that conversation with people, because there's people every day, you know, with the interest rates right now, we're in a bit of flux. So maybe it's not going to be as active, but in 6 months, or they're looking to sell, or they're looking to reposition. We'll talk about those things as well. So far, any questions with where I'm at? Okay. So with all that said, I mean, I think that every one of you guys probably has the ability, even if you had, you know, 30 A+ clients in your database, that's still 2 to 3 clients that you can pick up the phone and call and say, you're in this space of being looking at buying or selling a second home. 87% of vacation properties are purchased 50 miles away from their primary home. So most agents it's going to be outside of your market area. So that doing that referral and asking that question is going to be important. 25% of the vacation properties are bought in urban and city central locations. So that's one of the things a lot of times people don't think about, is 25% are buying in New York. Like I own a second home. I bought it in downtown San Diego. It's just, so there's opportunity in these other markets. And for some of your agents that are working in these kinds of areas, being receptive to, hey, do I have second home buyers coming in, and should I be working on my feeder markets? It's another thing to keep in mind with that as well. So there's more really great news about the whole system, is that once you find a resort second home buyer, they typically buy more than one home. They'll typically buy multiple properties, or they'll buy something, they'll test the market, see if they like it, and then once they do, then they're going to flip out of that and either into another one that's going to be bigger, or they're going to realize they don't like it and they're going to sell it. So keeping in touch with them to understand what they do and what they're up to is going to be important. So if you know that your clients have second homes, having that conversation with them to control the narrative and be able to be that resource for them is going to be super important. Just like stock investors, you buy more than one stock. Real estate investors tend to buy more than one piece of real estate. It's just because it's comfortable, they like it. It's an ego thing. Whatever those answers are, it all makes sense. 23, and then this is another interesting fact, 23% of existing vacation home buyers are likely to buy an investment piece of real estate. So that means that they may buy a second home, but now all of a sudden they may be saying, I like real estate, and now I want to buy a raw investment, an ROI kind of property. We'll talk about that in a little bit, about this other space for referral opportunities. And then 21% of vacation home buyers are likely to buy another vacation home in 2 years. And we talked about that just because they're upsizing, they're right sizing with their vacation properties, or they're just adding to their portfolio of Airbnb style properties. The other thing that I just alluded to, and that's the other second home to remember, and that is true residential investment property. So when you just go buy a 3-bedroom house, you rent it out long term as a pure investment vehicle to put your eggs in different baskets. So all your money's not in the stock market. You can invest in some real estate and to have it just be generating revenue. Now, some of the challenges, Robert, in your market, can you buy an investment piece of real estate that generates any kind of reasonable ROI?
I mean, it depends on your down payment, right?
So
if somebody is to put like 35 or 40% down, there's going to be cash flow. But I would say if they're open to breaking even or maybe losing a little bit of money per month, but focusing more on the long-term appreciation, there's a lot of opportunity there. But it's a case by case.
And that's the thing but if somebody's looking for that ROI on a daily basis, it's really hard in Maui. I can't buy stuff in Maui if I'm playing the short game.
It's tough. It's tough
really
here
tough.
too.
So that's the point. So the journey with that is when somebody says, I really don't want a vacation home, but I'm thinking about investing in real estate. So personally, I own, 9 properties in Little Rock, Arkansas. I own 2 properties in Huntsville, Alabama, because I can't buy real estate here and get a 10% return like I am in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
So those are another conversation that you have is, so somebody bought a home, they bought it as an investment, or they've got a rental property and they're just breaking even. Now the question becomes, well, would you like to make 10% on that money instead of breaking even? Because if you take that and sell it, what do you've got? You've got a listing, right? You sell that property, and now I can connect you with an agent in, you know, Little Rock is what I'm going to use for an example. I can connect you with an agent in Little Rock who's going to give you a 7 to 10% return on your investment on a daily basis. And you take that $1 million California property and turn it into 4 properties and divest it. Now that becomes an opportunity. I sold a condo for a gal here. It was a vacation rental condo. It was performing very poorly. She was feeding it. She sold that $3 million or $2 million condo. I got the sale from her, and then I called up my buddy, and I said, where do you like to travel to? She says, well, I really like to go to Vegas. So what did I do? I called up my buddy Matt Farnham, who's on the call. I said, Matt, I've got a client who we're selling her property, and she's doing a 1031, and she wants to reposition her money. Matt, I don't know if Matt, if you're on still, I think he sold her 3 properties.
Yeah,
so he sold her. They sold her 3 properties, $2 million. She bought something else in Reno, but it was worth what, $1 million for you guys in sales.
I think she did about 1.5 million here.
1.5 million. So I got the sale, and then I got $2 million worth of referral money back from her. So again, trying to think of because her property wasn't performing. Let's take a property that's not performing, turn it into a sale, and then turn it into referrals. So it was a beautiful opportunity to do that. And where I would encourage the agents on the call is start to understand, it's like, okay, does my market work here for income properties? If it does, then let people know about that. Hey, we've got a great, ROI on our properties here. If it doesn't, then start the network in your crew here of saying, hey, who's got good ROI on their properties? Who's generating good returns? Because I want to turn around and tell some of my clients, hey, we probably need to reposition you and get you out of what we're in that's not making the daily revenue, and get you into something that will give you better ROI. Any questions? Does it make sense?
So Tom, I assume that you're going to be going into this, but from us having normal conversations, day-to-day conversations, what is the ways in which you would feel would be an easy way to approach to find out if they are in that market or if they are interested?
My goodness, Nazar, how did you know?
Yeah.
We're going to get there. But a couple just things, and this is just basic real estate, but for those of you who haven't done much referrals, I mean, honest to gosh, referred clients always tend to have the greatest sense of loyalty, because when they're referred by you, somebody they trust, to an agent, they're much easier to work with, and they're much more likely to close. Referred clients are typically closer to decision-making process, which is great. So they're a lot easier, again, in that journey. When you refer to an outside market, you become an inbound resource for referrals from those agents and their fellow agents. And by that, I mean, if I refer to Matt, and Matt's working in his office, and I give him some referrals, and then somebody walks into the office and says, hey, I'm looking for an agent in Maui. What's Matt going to say? Matt's going to say, hey, call Tom. He just sent me a referral. So it's exponentially builds on your opportunities when you become a referring agent. Outbound, you start to get inbound referrals as well. And
which we did do that, but Tom, the one we sent you wasn't nearly as nice as what you sent us.
Well, but that's okay. It was opportunity, and that's what we always appreciate.
But you closed it.
We closed it, and that unfortunately was one of the properties that was impacted by the fire. So, and then the last thing is as every one of the senior agents on this page or in this group knows, is there's no higher return on your time invested than by creating referrals. I don't know. I know when I get a referral opportunity, I probably spend an hour, because I want to go in and I research. I go to Tom Ferry, I go to Inman, or not Inman, I go to Tom Ferry, I go to Zillow, I go to a few different places, try to look at the agents that I think are really powerful. Then I'll go to their websites and check and make sure that they're active. And then I'll reach out to them and try to see if they're a good connect for my clients. But all of that takes an hour, and boom, if I don't already have a network like we do with Tom Ferry, like for Vegas, it was easy. It's like, call Matt. And I don't know how much money he sent me, but for $1.5 million, it was, lots of thousands of dollars. So keeping in mind referrals, and again, back to the title of these are all hidden opportunities in your database because you're not thinking about this. Isn't something you think about on the everyday. Just to review some of the things, it's average household income of $90,000 a year. 6 to 10% of those clients are going to be buying or selling a resort home or an investment property. And again, if you have 1,000 people in your database with $90,000 in an income, 60 to 100 people are in that market space. So just again, refreshing that to talk about it. So something sorry guys, a little breakdown in here. So again, asking for the referrals, it's so simple. And then this is what Nazar, you were asking. It's really easy in an email, in a social media post, or in a question with a client. Just doing that, having those thoughts in your brain to how to do it. So we'll start with an email, and I apologize, but I'm going to read this because I think it's so simple, but it's important. And your subject line is, are you thinking about buying or selling a second home? This could also be in your newsletter, in one of the parts of it. But it was just, the body is, I was just checking in and thought I would see how you're doing in the crazy events of the world. Recently, several of my clients have reached out to me because they have been started to think about buying or selling a second home and asked me if I could help them. It dawned on me that my friends and clients may not be aware, but I have a network of resort, second home, and investment agents across the country. And if you've been thinking it is time to invest in some additional real estate anywhere in the country or actually the world, I can help you. Knowing there are so many ways to search real estate online or on vacation, while on vacation, I came to realize the biggest problem my clients were having is not a relationship with a great agent, is not having a relationship with a great agent they felt comfortable with. This can make the buying and selling process away from home a bit scary and daunting. So I wanted to let you know that I can help. I have an amazing network of professional experienced agents that I trust and can connect you with. My clients that I have already assisted have found this to be a far better experience than randomly selecting an agent they find on the internet or at an open house. If you're thinking this might be a good time for you to expand your real estate portfolio, I would love to assist in finding you a great agent wherever in the world you need help with in your second home. So again, something very simple, easy. This will be, I'll send put a QR code. You can grab my workbook at the end of this. You'll have this available to you. It'll also be a link that you can get from Melissa. We've sent that off to her, or you can email me and I'll send you the link to the book as well. But again, super simple, just put it out there. And if 5 people respond, it's a grand slam because it didn't cost you anything. And if one person responds, it's still a win. And this is the kind of thing that may take some time to develop because it's putting it in their mind that they know about it.
I think what's kind of cool, and I never thought of this before, but I wonder if it'd be cool, especially on social media, and maybe even as an email, to ask the question, who of my friends own a second home or an investment property?
So that's...
Because I think, a lot of people don't own second homes. A lot of people don't own investment properties. And so if you're able to isolate those that do, there might be more of a way for them to either want to buy more of those or get rid of the ones that they have, right?
And that's this page right here. So social media, it's a different strategy, right? I mean, Nazar, you're absolutely right. But you want to do it a little bit more coy, and you want to ask these leading questions like, when you retire, do you plan on moving to a new community or stay where you are? So it's a very open-ended, and that elicits conversation. So there's a bunch of different questions you can be putting on your social. And like the last one is, it's a poll. On vacation, I prefer to golf, ski, fish, or read. Whatever that is, now you're eliciting those people to respond. But I think the important thing in this journey is, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, is when you start that conversation with them, when they respond, take it to private message space, take it offline, because they're not going to want to share their success necessarily. They're not going to brag. They're not going to talk about buying a second home publicly. Some of them might, but it's much more likely that they're not going to want to. But if you take it to a private message channel, I think it's going to be a much better way to do that. And when you start in that private message channel, stay in the channel if you don't know them well, and then start asking the questions like, when are you thinking about doing this? Where are you thinking? Why are you thinking about doing it? The whys are important as well, because it'll help you to understand their journey. And sometimes people will buy second homes because they're older and they think, well, this is a great place for me to have my kids. And they don't really care about their kids. They really want their grandkids to be part of the journey. So understanding what's important for them in that as well. And then most importantly, let them know that you've got networks everywhere in the world that you can help them. You've got agents that can help them all over the place in doing this. So, and then if you're in a live conversation, whether it's on the phone or in person, you might say, hey, have you ever considered buying a second home? And then if you elicit their response, and it's just, I'm just asking because I've been talking to my clients. And, you know, again, take these scripts, they'll be in the book when you get it, and internalize it. As we all know with scripts, you've got to own that script. It's got to make sense. It's got to work, but you've got to be able to feel like you're saying it from the way you would say it, not the way I wrote it. So as with all scripts, just take it, make it make sense, and have it work for you. And then the other thing is know where they go. When you start to think like this, and you start to talk to the friends and your neighbors, and you start finding out that, holy smokes, a bunch of my friends own second homes already, and I didn't know about it because they don't want to brag. But you start to find out, where are they going? So, Nazar, where do people go from your marketplace to second home?
In California, I mean, I think all over, but I would imagine, you know, Hawaii being one of the destinations that they go. They also stay local, and they'll like buy the mountains, like
right,
Big Bear or whatever.
So, and that's it. Once you start to understand that, and there's a real important reason why you start to learn this journey of where they go. And one is because you can become educated about that space. So when they say, oh yeah, I want to buy a ski resort, now you know, well, hey, most of my friends that have already bought have bought in Big Bear or Lake Tahoe or Vail or wherever it is. And now you can talk that language, and they say, oh wow, you're familiar with that. It's like, oh yeah, I love the ski resorts, and these are the ones. In fact, I know so-and-so who's a great agent there if you're thinking about buying. Now you've got that natural segue when you know where they go. So you start the conversations, figure out what they're thinking about in the way of a second home. And now when you know the different places you can have those conversations, get them as much detail about what they're after when you're in that conversation. Let them know you have agents in the networks. And then this is the part that I think a lot of agents miss, and that's consider networking with some second. So when you know where they're going, do you know any realtors in Big Bear?
Yeah.
Okay. So have you ever thought about having a first time second home buyer seminar?
No.
And bring in your realtor from Big Bear, and bring in the realtor from Maui, and bring in the realtor from somewhere else, and then invite your clients and say, hey, who's been thinking about buying a second home? I've got agents from the beach, the mountains, and whatever, you know, and bring them in and create that opportunity so that these folks come in there. Now, in a perfect world, every one of your clients, Nazar, would want to buy in Maui, and they'd come to me. But I know that that's not realistic. So for the second home agents out there that are looking at this and thinking, okay, how do I manipulate this? Be a proponent of getting the agents in the traditional markets to just simply ask about referrals. By doing that, you know, they're not all going to come to Maui, and I get that. But if I can help all of you guys find second home buyers, I know that there's at least one or two of them that are going to come to Maui, and I'm going to win. So
Hey, Tom.
Yes, sir.
I did this is Matt in Vegas, everybody. I was one of multiple agents on a virtual seminar. It was myself, Boise, Idaho, Phoenix, Arizona, I think somebody from Denver and San Antonio, but it was a San Diego agent at that time that had me as a guest. One of the guests of that seminar actually ended up buying, because he was exploring. It was for people exploring leaving California to basically the feeder markets that are there very commonly going to. Long story short, we ended up helping them sell a house, and I'm pretty sure we sold a second house to a family member or referral or something from that, because I did a 30-minute seminar. So it worked.
So yeah, I mean, and it doesn't have to be in person. I mean, just doing it on Zoom, whatever, because everybody's everywhere. It just, the whole goal of this is, you know, Nazar came to me and said, I want you to create something. It's like, I want to bring something to you guys that nobody thinks about. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody who's had created this journey for themselves in their real estate career that's on this group. But I'm guessing if there are, there's not very many of you that are doing it. And it's just so simple to do and create the opportunities. And then again, it's a really super fast way to find referrals because they're already in your database. There's already people that are sitting there thinking right now, I'm getting older, I'm getting tired, I just got a bonus, grandma just passed away and left me money. I mean, there's a plethora of things that happen that motivate people to then buy second homes. And being ahead of the curve and being able to help them on the journey is really positive. The other thing to keep in mind is when somebody starts the journey of saying, I want to buy a second home, they don't necessarily say, I want to buy a second home in Maui, or I want to buy a second home in Vail. What they're saying is, I want to buy a second home on the beach. And whether it's Maui or San Diego or Kauai. So having that versatility when you're talking to them is going to be really important. And then having that network of agents that can roll off the tip of your tongue. So it's not like, oh, I think I can find you somebody. But if you know your feeder markets or you know where your market feeds to, you'll be able to have that relationship with the agent. So just start to build that is what I would encourage you. If you want more information, if you want I created a book on issue, you can scan that code and that will allow you to download it. We'll also be able to send you a link to the book, and it's got all of the information, sort of it's the same information we presented, a little bit more detail. And then all the prompts for social media and all the prompts, the email. And again, I encourage you guys to take it, be inspired by it. You're welcome to copy it, but make it your own voice. I know that when it's not our own voice, sometimes it gets misconstrued. So rewrite it, take it, create it, make something that works for your best interest, and send me some referrals. This is a little about me. I've been doing this for about 32 years, 33 years, 23 years in Maui, and been proactive in trying to be a resort agent. I've also, if there's any resort agents in the group, you're welcome to join our group on Facebook, Resort and Second Home Agents. There's about, 1,400 agents in that group from all over the world. So it's a great place to go out and reach out and network and market with those different markets that you're in. Part of it's Tom Ferry, but it's a lot of agents from all different venues and all different associations. So I'd love to have you be part of that. If you're not a resort agent, you're still welcome to join. You just have to be a realtor, and we qualify every agent. That there's nobody in the group that's soliciting. It's only real estate agents or people that are affiliated with the industry. So, any questions?
I have questions, but Tom, that was excellent, bro. Thank you.
Quick question for you, Tom. In your, like in Maui, I know that it's a fairly decent sized island. If someone wanted to get like a 3-bedroom condo that faces the ocean, what's that going for nowadays?
Well, so 3 bedrooms are really uncommon, just so you know. It's more likely that we'd find you a 2-bedroom, and a nice 2-bedroom across the street from the ocean is going to be right at $1 million. A nice 2-bedroom on the ocean is going to be anywhere from about $1.3 million to, I just sold a 3-bedroom condo sort of set back off the ocean for $8.6 million. So lots of and they have a realtor in Seattle, by the way, but they didn't call me. I mean, the business is there, guys. I mean, there's so much opportunity to do that. But anyway, our market ranges from about $600,000 to 32 million, 35 million, right? And it's not just, the Airbnb. I guess the other thing I would encourage you to do is understand the language. Airbnb, VRBO, short-term rental, all is a daily kind of rental. And then, but not everybody is after that. Sometimes we pigeonhole ourselves and think, oh, everybody wants to rent it. But I have a ton of clients that just want a second home that sits vacant for, 45 weeks of the year, and they're okay with that. So don't worry. I mean, don't get in your way of saying, oh, it's got to be a vacation rental, because they don't. There's tons of opportunities And I mean, our homes in this market, what's interesting as well is for some of you folks that are in lower price point markets, I sell second homes to a lot of people that are way more money than the cost of their primary home, because in their markets, they don't have to spend $6 or $7 million to get something. They can buy a really nice house in Texas for $2 million. But when they come to Maui to replace that $2 million house, they've got to spend $6 or $7 million. And it's not uncommon for that to happen. So those referral opportunities can be huge when you start think about it in that place. I mean, go to Aspen or Vail. I mean, geez, and right now in Aspen, there was just a house that sold for somewhere near $100,000 or $100 million.
Are there any restrictions for Maui when it comes to Airbnbs and VRBOs, or is
there are restrictions in Maui. You have to buy for the most part, Airbnbs, VRBOs are going to be only condominiums, and that's in Maui. In the other islands, the rules are different, and that's the thing is that why it's really important to have an agent who understands the different nuances of rentals to be able to know what's going to be safe and what's not. In Maui, it's really safe because we've got a super established system, but a lot of places where they're now selling Airbnbs that were not resort second home markets, but have become these Airbnb property markets. The communities are freaking out. The city councils are passing laws. So you might buy something, make it an Airbnb, and then all of a sudden that opportunity is taken away. And when you buy it as an Airbnb, the numbers make sense. But when you lose that, all of a sudden it's a losing proposition. So being aware of those kinds of dynamics of rentals is really important. And and the other thing is that resort, not the non-resort, that pure ROI kind of property like we were talking about, where I'm just I took and sold I did a flip in Maui for $1.6 million. Took that and flipped it into 6 houses in Little Rock, Arkansas. So there's these different avenues, because in Little Rock I'm getting 10% or 9% of my money. And for me, I'll share that story. For me, I'm older. I'm trying to look at my portfolio and say, what happens when I kick the bucket? I want it to be something that my kids can take, they can split up, they can do that. But I don't want them to sell them because they're such cash pigs, that I want them to be able to figure out how to manage it and have it be something that's easily divestable. Or if I die and my wife needs money, it's not like you have to sell one big piece of real estate. You can just spin off one at a time and get some cash. So those are my theories, but I share that with you so that when you're talking to people, when you're talking to somebody who may be older like me, you can start leading them down the path and giving them some ideas of how and why it might make sense too. So
awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Tom, so much for taking your time to do that. If you guys have any questions, you can reach out to Tom, follow him on social, and then I think it's a great opportunity. Like if you think about the amount of sales that we do in our own spaces, getting those referral checks is you don't have to do anything, right? You just make that connection and that's it. So it's an easy way for be a win-win situation. All right, guys, have an awesome day.
Guys, thank you, Tom.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right. Hope it helps. Aloha.